When you first heard the news, how did you feel?
I was in denial.
The album myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
And I saw him early in the day. We talked a little bit. He said he was feeling under the weather a little bit. He had gone to the doctor to get his sinuses drained or something like that.
Amelia, his name is Dr. Michael Schulenberg, and he's a family practitioner. That search warrant shows that he told Carver County deputies that he treated Prince on April 7th and April 20th, but it doesn't say for what. And now North Memorial Medical Center says Dr. Schulenberg doesn't work there anymore.
When Morris Day first heard the news of Prince's death, he couldn't process it. Denial was the only emotion he could cling to. He had been recording music in his own studio, wrapped in the rhythm of creation, when the bombshell hit. Prince? Gone? It didn't make sense. But as reality began to sink in, so did something even darker. Something sinister lurking beneath the surface of that tragic day. Morris, once a close friend and collaborator of Prince, now wonders if the icon knew.
And Jimmy come in, I had no idea what he had in his mind. So me and Jesse Johnson and Prince sitting in the studio, and Terry and Jimmy come in, and he's, you guys are fired. Just like that. And, you know, I just kind of dropped my head and walked out of the studio because
His days were numbered. The clues were there, hiding in plain sight. Prince had seemed off, thin, quiet, almost as if he was preparing to say goodbye. Just 2 months before his death, Morris visited Paisley Park at Prince's request. The atmosphere was heavy, Prince was acting differently, warmer, more nostalgic. At the end of a private performance, Prince embraced Morris and told him, "I love you." That was a first. It caught Morris off guard. Now, in hindsight, it felt like a farewell. But the most haunting part?
And I guess you called yourself the original Seven at one point?
that was when we got together and decided as the time that we were going to do a record. Terry and Jimmy wanted to do a record. And of course Prince said, no, you can't use the name. So we had to...
Wait, hold on. Prince really had a problem with you guys using the name that far later?
You know what? This dude was such a control.
Prince had recently won a battle that many artists never lived to see. He had reclaimed ownership of his masters. After decades of fighting for control over his own music, he finally broke free from Warner Brothers, the label that had profited off his genius since the late 70s. But freedom, it seemed, came at a price. In a chilling twist, Morris now believes Prince's label may have played a role in his death, not just through legal suffocation or industry manipulation, but something far worse, something physical, something fatal. On April 7th and again on April 20th, Prince was treated by Dr. Michael Schulenberg, a family practitioner. The official story?
You know, I'm up in the dressing room and they're like, Prince wants to see you now. So, you know, I've been to Paisley Park many times before, but it's 11, 12 o'clock at night, walking down this dark ass corridor, and I hear, and I see a silhouette walking from the shadows in the dark, and it's Prince, and he's coming out. He's like, bravo, bravo, you know, and he's, you know, giving us, you know, he's like, man, you guys killed it, you know, and so we, you know, he gives me a hug. He says, I love you. And that caught me off guard because that was the first time.
Sinus issues, but no diagnosis was listed in the warrant. Not long after, Schulenberg was no longer employed at North Memorial Medical Center. That was just the beginning of the mystery. 6 days before his death, Prince collapsed mid-flight after a show in Atlanta. The plane made an emergency landing in Illinois, and first responders revived him using Narcan, a drug that reverses opioid overdoses. Yet even after that scare, Prince returned to Dr. Schulenberg, who promptly prescribed oxycodone under a different name. Kirk Johnson, Prince's friend and bodyguard. This illegal prescription was reportedly meant to keep Prince's medical dealings off the public radar. And then it happened. Prince died on April 21st, 2016. The autopsy revealed he had overdosed on a counterfeit Vicodin pill laced with fentanyl, one of the deadliest opioids in existence. Someone had given him a deadly fake. Theories exploded. Who supplied the lethal pills? Was it negligence or design? Morris couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. He began to piece together the final conversations, the cryptic remarks, the last-minute hugs. He knew, Morris said. He knew something wasn't right. Maybe he was trying to warn me. Maybe that's why he wanted to see me again. That thought alone haunted Morris Day. And it wasn't just the medicine or the strange behavior. Prince had always been wary of the industry. He had a long, rebellious history of fighting the system, famously writing slave on his cheek when battling for control of his music in the 90s. He loathed being owned by the machine. He wanted artists to own their work, to be treated as creators, not commodities. But that philosophy made him dangerous to the system. In the final months of his life, Prince was finally free. He got his masters back. He had exclusive streaming deals through Tidal. But Warner Brothers, his old enemy, still had a stake in it all. Fans later discovered that WB was a silent partner in Tidal, meaning they still profited from the same music Prince fought to reclaim. Was it a coincidence? Or was this a carefully orchestrated betrayal? Even more chilling, Morris pointed out the eerie pattern of artists who die after reclaiming their value. Comedian Cat Williams once said, "Labels make more money when the artist is in the grave." Morris agreed. When someone like Prince dies, the estate explodes in value. No more touring fees, no more legal fights, no more resistance. Just endless royalties. And sure enough, following Prince's death, his estate boomed. Reissues, remastered albums, unreleased vaults. Money poured in. But for Morris, it wasn't about the money. It was about the legacy, the manipulation, and the unanswered questions. After Prince passed, Morris found himself locked in a new battle. The Prince estate barred him from using the name Morris Day and the Time, a name he had performed under for over 40 years, with Prince's blessing. Outraged, Morris posted on social media, "I've given 40 years of my life building up a name and legacy that Prince and I came up with. But now that Prince is gone, they're trying to rewrite history." Fans rallied behind him. Stunt Dart fired back with a generic statement about amicable discussions and being surprised by his post. But Morris knew better. This wasn't about talks. This was about control. The same kind of control Prince fought against his entire life. Even before his death, Prince's relationships were marked by strict rules. He once fired 2 members of the Time, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, for missing a show during a snowstorm. He even pressured Morris to convert to Jehovah's Witnesses to maintain their collaboration. Prince was intense. He was a perfectionist. But his love for his work, and for the people who shaped it with him, was undeniable. That's what made his final moments so strange. Why would he suddenly let go of all that tension? Why hug Morris, say, "I love you," and offer to revive the Time? It didn't fit his usual behavior, unless he knew time was short. And then there was the doctor. Despite writing illegal prescriptions under a false name, Dr. Schulenberg walked free. The lawsuit from Prince's family accused him of failing to diagnose, treat, or intervene in Prince's opioid addiction. It claimed his failures directly led to the singer's death. Yet the case was dismissed. No charges, no license suspension, just silence. Morris doesn't buy it. In his view, the doctor wasn't just negligent, he was complicit. Whether out of fear, greed, or loyalty to higher powers, Schulenberg's actions fed the very addiction that killed Prince. And the label? They got everything they wanted. Ownership, profit, silence. Morris summed it up in the most tragic way possible. There were too many yes men. Too many people scared to say no. He needed someone to say, "Do you know what you're doing?" But no one did. So now, years later, Morris Day speaks out. Not just for Prince, but for every artist caught in the system. The story of Prince's death isn't just about painkillers or even doctors. It's about control. It's about ownership. And maybe, just maybe, it's about murder.